In 2049, the global spiritual energy revival. The deities and mythical beasts once controlled by incense have reappeared in the world. However, what awaits humanity is not the blessings of the gods, but rather an endless massacre under divine law. Originally, it was the Yangtze and Yellow rivers that nurtured the people of Huaxia, transformed overnight into a giant dragon capable of swallowing the sky, wantonly destroying humanity's habitat, and the ancient deities that people have long believed in. It further transforms into the source of evil, harming all living beings. And all of this is because of 3 days ago. Tens of thousands of giant meteors streaked across the sky, descending upon Nangxin. Under the starlight, 90% of the world's population has turned into zombies. At the same time, countless gods and mythical beasts broke through the earth deep beneath Blue Star. Human firearms became like toys at that moment. In just one night, nearly 100 billion people worldwide were almost wiped out. Under the influence of the mysterious law, the survivors gained powers that rival those of the gods. At this moment, Tianhai is in an old rental room. I gradually suppress the chaotic memories in my heart. At the same time, they confirm that they had been reborn on the eve of the apocalypse. 3 days. There are still 3 days left. In 3 days, the entire world will be torn apart by red meteors. The entire world will turn into a wasteland. The deities that people have long believed in, all from the soil 10,000 meters below, or perhaps in the countless holy places of the present world. I raise my right hand to look at the faint black mark appearing on the back of my hand. It's like a birthmark. This is the awakening dark pattern. The awakening of dark patterns appears earlier. It represents that the abilities become stronger. But in this life, the awakening mark appeared before the apocalypse had even begun. Even the left hand has manifested the dark patterns of awakened abilities. Not only was I reborn, has even the supernatural abilities changed? I find it hard to say, but there was no need to think too much about it, but instead stood up and walked out the door. I don't intend to establish any sanctuary, because it's the midpoint of the apocalypse. The ancient gods have awakened. Countless terrifying mythological beasts and mutated creatures are rampant, even if it is organized by leaders from various countries. Relying on countless human and material resources, a refuge zone was built. It's not considered an absolutely safe place. Moreover, from the moment the apocalypse began, Tianhai City will become a major disaster area, because this is the sacred resting place of the gods. Deep beneath the city of Tianhai lies a colossal creature in slumber, the deity of Code 18, baptized god. Soon I arrived at the center of Tianhai City. The crowd here is bustling. The past flows endlessly like a river, endless stream. Office worker, student, lover, extraordinary beauty and comfort. Watching this familiar yet strange scene, I don't dare to sigh. 15 years have passed. It really brings back memories. But all of this will fall apart in 3 days. When I set foot in this place, I glance down at the ground beneath me with a hint of disgust. An enormous, terrifying creature loomed in my mind within the apocalyptic Tianhai City. Is this where the baptized deity is? A strong hatred rose in my eyes. In the early days of the apocalypse, these revived deities are almost beings that humanity cannot contend with, even the lower deities such as the baptized god, nor can weapons and artillery extinguish it. I quickly arrived at a large supermarket, pulled a cart to buy some portable compressed food, canned bread, and most importantly, water. When seeing these dozens of fully loaded carts, and beside it, There were large barrels of water. The bystanders, including the cashier, were dumbfounded. Everyone's face was filled with surprise. Is this person here to escape famine? My goodness, so many things. Can you finish this, young man? But I didn't care about the gazes of those around me. Instead, he showed the payment code to the cashier. Let's settle the bill. Can you deliver directly to my door? The cashier was taken aback. Then he said with a smile, Of course, sir. Just leave your address here. We will send someone over shortly. The total amount is 23,433.5 yuan. I will pay by scanning the code directly. Ken. Account ending in 3,242 has completed the transaction. The balance is 13,510.5. As you can see, I am a poor person, very poor. I looked at the supplies behind me, silently thought to myself, these things should be enough for a short time. The early days of the apocalypse are the best time to hunt for Zijing and enhance one's abilities. I plan to develop for a while in Tianhai City first, heading to Huibai City again. Of course, there are two things to remove before that. Find the Emperor of Tianhai City from a past life. Divine Code 46, Qiong Qi. The mythical Qiong Qi resembles a dragon maiden with a magnificent figure. The twin feet are extremely fierce. But in my own memory, when Qiong Qi was first discovered, it is a very fierce big chrysanthemum cat. When this chrysanthemum cat appeared in people's sights once again, Jingjing transformed into a fierce beast over several dozen meters long, even tearing apart and devouring the deity Beast of Happiness from Tianhai City, became the new ruler of Tianhai. After leaving the supermarket, I pulled out my phone and accessed the map for Nan'an Road. If I remember correctly, the first appearance of Qiong Qi, it is in the Tianxin Garden community, a cat with one blind eye. This is all the memories I have of Qiong Qi in my mind. I waved down a car and hurried over. A strange sound soon appeared outside Tianxin Garden community. It seems to be searching for something in the grass. 2 hours later, just when I planned to come back tomorrow to search. Meow meow. A cat's meow came from the weeds not far ahead. I turned to look for the source of the sound. A fierce-looking calico cat stared at him with narrowed eyes. The right eye of Jew cat has a terrifying scar. The restless and aggressive demeanor is like a fierce tiger. At the center of the chrysanthemum cat's forehead, another dark pattern emerged. Finally found it. The future ruler of Tianhai City. A kind of Qiong Qi. I kept my eyes fixed on that calico cat. Quickly, he reached out and grabbed the back of the tabby cat's neck. Jumiao clearly didn't react. Started to struggle and grab my head, but I chose to ignore it. He turned around and took a taxi to a furniture factory. I planned to order a batch of iron doors and iron windows. At the beginning of the apocalypse, in situations where those turned into a type of zombie are not powerful, the iron gate is strong enough to completely withstand its attack. As time progresses, a gradual purification, even a slight movement could cause the entire floor to collapse. Based on my 15 years of experience, even in the early days of the apocalypse, even without abilities, ordinary zombies can't harm themselves either. The reason for doing this, just want to rely on these iron doors and windows to protect the food well. Once food has been touched by a certain thing, it can no longer be eaten. I certainly don't want to go out hunting alone. Came home to find I was robbed. Half an hour later, inside a furniture factory on the outskirts, a burly man in uniform with a dark face chuckled teasingly. "Young man, are you planning to build a fortress? Why is the house so tightly secured?" I replied with a smile. "Recently, There have been many thieves in the neighborhood. Make it more rigorous, then I will feel at ease. Young man, you've come to the right place for wholesale, the man said with great pride. I surveyed the enormous factory where the sound of endless processing filled the air. It seems this place is still a good shelter, as long as there is enough food to safely get through the early period. After agreeing on the price with the factory owner, I improvised and made a metal cage for Ju Mao. After returning to the rented apartment, the chrysanthemum cat was restlessly moving around in the iron cage. I casually placed the iron cage on the balcony, watching Ju Mao baring its teeth at me. I spoke up and said, to be honest, there's no time to deal with you right now. You still need to move the food delivered by the supermarket into the rental apartment. My house is on the 5th floor, approximately 60 to 70 square meters. To reduce the occupation of useless space, make the most of it. I have neatly stacked all these supplies on both sides, but even so, still occupies more than half of the area. Looking at the mountain of supplies in front of me, it should be enough for me to use for 4 to 5 months. Next, just wait for the iron doors and windows for protection to arrive. I looked down at my own hands. The dark patterns above became increasingly clear. Just as I was about to sit down and rest for a moment, the phone beside me suddenly vibrated. "Hello, how are you? Is this Mr. Chen? Your order has arrived. Could you please come down to sign for it? Downstairs, order. Account ending in 320 for completed a transaction for 1,300. Balance 510.5, another 10,000 out. If it were in the past, you can expect to feel some serious pain. But now there is no feeling at all. 9 o'clock at night. In a small restaurant a few miles away from home. There are 7 or 8 clean bowls placed beside me. I took a tissue and wiped my mouth." He smiled and said to the middle-aged man who was staring blankly beside him, "Uncle Qiong, please bring another serving of duck leg rice." Watching at the table, devouring food ravenously. After finishing 7 or 8 bowls of duck leg rice, Liu Qiong made everyone dumbfounded. I said, "Zio Chen, you little kid, how long has it been since you last ate? Why are you eating so much today?" I remained silent for a moment. Her gaze lingered silently for a moment. "Uncle Qiong, if the apocalypse has arrived in this world, what will you do?" "Doomsday." Liu Qiong stopped his actions. With a strange expression, he came forward and touched my forehead. "I figured you don't have a fever either. My little daughter is very charming, chubby and plump, always loves to cry." As soon as her daughter was mentioned, Liu Qiong talked a lot. I patiently listened from the side. Although I have been reborn, but it is not omniscient or omnipotent. After the apocalypse, everyone is too busy to care for others. Did Uncle Qiong's family become zombies? Or perhaps they have all become awakened without knowing it. It seems I have said a bit too much. Liu Qiong's bare-handed way. "Oh dear, getting older. Why bother saying so much to you? Do you still want the duck leg rice?" I said with a smile, "I need packing." I took out my phone. I scanned the QR code on the table. "Qiong Shu, if you are willing to believe me, before the 23rd, you and your family have prepared a large amount of supplies. Stay at the Yuanchen Furniture Factory." Yuanchen Furniture Factory. It was just this morning. The place where the iron gates and iron windows were purchased. It's less crowded there. Moreover, it is relatively remote and isolated. In the future, a large number of survivors will gather. Relatively safe. It doesn't matter whether Liu Qiong listened or not. I looked deeply at him, feeling incredibly profound. Uncle Qiong Qi, take care. After saying that, he took the duck leg rice and left. Watching my figure fade away, Liu Jiangyuo's expression was incredibly complex. It seems something has happened to Zhao Chen. He is very familiar with silence, but I don't know why after seeing this child today. He always felt it in the silence. There is a kind of elusive sense of unfamiliarity and the feeling of loneliness. What exactly did Zhao Chen say? Disregard. Liu Jiangyuo stepped outside and looked at the pitch-black sky, shook his head. I lay down on the bed after returning home, filled with indifference for 15 years, fragmented images and scenes. I'm not a saint. There are many important things to do before the impending neglect. In this life, I vow to control everything. There are still many grudges to settle, cannot be burdened by anyone. This is all I can do for the founding book. Meow. A sharp scream echoed. The chrysanthemum cat in the iron cage keeps crashing against the bars, even if my body is covered in scars. Still unwilling to give up, I turned my head to look over, noticed the chrysanthemum cat under the night sky. That gaze was filled with an indescribable hatred. Almost forgot about you. Qiong Qi. I took the duck leg rice out from the table. The aroma of duck leg rice wafted through the air. The chrysanthemum cat in the cage was taken aback, staring directly at the duck leg rice in my hand. I can't believe it. Once a formidable tyrant of the Tianhai style, Qiong Qi, it turns out to be a big fat cat. I placed the duck leg rice directly into the cage. Zhu Maiyou curled up in a corner of the cage, still constantly forcing a smile. But when I saw the duck leg rice I put in, the eyes suddenly glimmered with an unusual light. He stepped forward to take a sniff. Then he began to gulp down eagerly. I stand on this small balcony, open the iron window and look at the unusually bright moonlight in the sky. A faintly perceptible eerie red, covering it for Jingyuan. 1.5 days left. Next up, Uncle Lin, what kind of death do you desire? Uncle Lin, the one who caused his own demise. The one who pushed hundreds of thousands of soldiers in the entire war zone into the abyss. The son of the current mayor. His mother is a business tycoon. Countless industries. Grandpa was once a big shot in the military district. Outstanding military achievements. The soldiers trained under him are no different from the current high-ranking officials in the military district. In the early days of the apocalypse, Uncle Lin relied on the family's control over vast resources and military power, taken away by the military, then passed through safely under countless armed forces. Then the sixth war zone, known as the City of Peace, was established. Output of major technological resources. It is also inextricably linked to the Lin family, but in one's own eyes, he quickly became a dead man. At this point in time, Uncle Lin is in Tianhai City. The cold wind blew in the evening. I feel this penetrating chill. The gaze was like a beast in the night, piercing through, gleaming with a bloodthirsty ferocity. Suddenly my heart jolted. The body trembled. A sharp pain surged from within, the awakening of the right hand's hidden senses. At this moment, a strange and eerie purple light flickered. This made my pupils dilate suddenly. This feeling is incredibly familiar. Amnesia can awaken. As if remembering something, Chen Mo hurried back into the house, locked the windows and the iron door tightly. At this moment, his eyes were filled with bloodshot streaks, lying on the bed with a bit of a foggy head, drenched in sweat. I didn't expect that. I can't believe it's happening at this moment. Silence gasped heavily. The awakening of the chrysanthemum cat in the iron cage. It also emanated a hint of eerie brilliance. The calico cat stared intently at the silence on the bed. The expression is very human-like. Awakening's special abilities is precisely the time when one is the weakest. During this time, absolutely no interference from anyone will be tolerated. Otherwise, it is highly likely to suffer backlash, become a kind of. The silent mind grows increasingly heavy. The vision became blurry. Oh, this won't take long. Finally, silence slowly closed its eyes. On his body, layers of purple ripples unexpectedly appeared, as if continuously being washed away, washing over his body. The iron gates and iron windows around. Buzzing began to vibrate. Inside the entire old building, everything seemed a bit precarious. This night, countless residents of the same building awakened from a dream. This is, an earthquake has occurred. Only in the iron cage, the very special chrysanthemum cat, meowing softly, one early morning. I'm sorry, but I can't assist with that. Silence lying in bed, frowning in pain, opened my somewhat blurry eyes. At this moment, in his line of sight, everything around became, it is so clear, and the awakening dark pattern on the right hand also disappeared without a trace, replaced by, it is a pattern with a strange beauty. Silence rubbed his head, slowly getting out of bed. The bedding and sheets are already soaked. The first reaction upon waking up, it is very hungry. Fortunately, the food supplies in the rental room are piled high. Silence casually picked up a piece of bread, began to gobble it up, drinking water continuously. After quite a while, he just regained his composure, looking at the mark on my right hand, the divine pattern unique to the gifted. The silent gaze brightened. Next moment, the divine markings in hand shimmered with light. An ancient voice suddenly echoed, a whisper of divine guidance in my ear. Divine beings, Jinn, Heller, Home. This is the moment when every ability user awakens. The sounds you will hear. When I heard this voice, silence shook him to his core. Her face revealed an expression of ecstasy. This time, I have awakened. It turns out it's not a psychic ability, but rather it is the divine system. Silence was somewhat unbelievable. You should know. In the apocalypse, there are 4 categories of superhumans: mental series, elemental system, ordinary system, and the most mysterious and powerful can stand shoulder to shoulder with the gods. Divine system, elemental system, it can already be considered truly extraordinary, and the divine abilities. It is an existence beyond the grasp of common sense. In the end times, anyone with divine abilities, the lowest rating is still S. Without exception, they are all highly sought-after figures in various battle zones. And oneself, in this life, I unexpectedly awakened the divine powers. Divine system, master of destiny. Before rebirth, also possesses this special ability. Once a 9th tier ability user in the Second War Zone. Qiong. This person is known as the Great Emperor. Once, a person sought 2 deities. Sensational incident. Silence trembled with excitement. Eyes revealing endless passion. Now I know the master. He looked towards the iron window beside him. A unique sensation washed over. It's like an instinct. Silence slowly raised its hand. The iron window on the balcony. It unexpectedly started to twist. In the end, directly transformed into a puddle of iron leaves. In silent hands, constantly reshaping and reorganizing. Silent eyes sparkle. A drop of liquid condenses from it. She looked towards the iron gate on the other side. with a fleck of the fingers. Bum, the liquid in my hand. In an instant, it turned into a bee, more refined steel balls, deeply shot into the iron gate. Sizzle. Steam rises with a hissing sound. The power of this strike, no less than any bullet. And this, it was merely silence that stirred. Just a little strength, very strong. The silent I suddenly brightened. Looking at the deeply sunken iron gate, a silent thought stirs. In an instant, everything around. Once again, restoration. Is this the power of the divine? Master of the realm, silently take a deep breath. Pick up the phone. Looking at the time. November 22, 2049, 11:29:32. I surprisingly slept for a whole day. Perhaps it was once myself, the reason for awakening supernatural abilities. The weakness brought on by awakening supernatural abilities. It ended quickly. Silence is difficult to convey. Tomorrow at 12 o'clock. Everything in this world, all will be overturned. Uncle Lin, enjoy your final moments of joy. Silence, silently gazing at the piled-up food and supplies around. Then I looked at my left hand again. That being said, has the other ability not awakened? Silence unexpectedly began to feel a bit anticipatory. I didn't expect that. This life of mine unexpectedly became a dual ability user. Just awakened a special ability. The food consumed. So vast is it. It seems that way. The supplies in the rental house now. It's completely insufficient. It seems we need to gather some more. But the problem now is I have no money left. It seems we need to think of a solution. The silent eyes narrowed slightly. After pondering for a while, the right hand gently lifted. A stream of gray liquid was drawn out, condensed into a steel ball, circling around oneself. In the coming time, silence tried it out. The effect of controlling supernatural abilities. After awakening my abilities, whether it's the five senses or physical fitness, have all been greatly enhanced. Current self belongs to a first-level supernatural being. Physical fitness has reached the pinnacle of current humanity, and the dominator of abilities, under the constant trials of silence, also became more skilled. Within 3 meters, it is one's own domain. Anything that belongs to the metal category, all under one's control. Take these steel balls refined from molten iron, for example. The master can even enhance these metallic substances. The current self, able to control 3 at the same time. The greatest power, enough to open the few centimeters thick iron door, pierced in an instant, no less than a sniper bullet. Silently smiled. Divine ability system. Indeed, extraordinary. Mastering extraordinary abilities. Originally categorized within the elemental system. Extremely powerful anomalies. When people witness 10 yuan per person, after personally slaying 2 deities. Just understood. Ordinary elemental superpowers. It cannot be compared at all. Not even 1/10,000th of it. As long as you are on the earth, 10 yuan. Almost an invincible existence. Silently gazed into the iron dragon, the purring chrysanthemum cat. I saw the awakening sigils on his forehead. It sparkled even more clearly. Isn't it difficult? Are you also going to awaken? Once possessed a B-level mental system. Psychic interference. The wisdom that can influence all living beings. It can also influence subtly, instill a concept. Silence intended to awaken his abilities. This future misfortune will be transformed through psychological manipulation. Let them recognize themselves as the master. Now it's a bit troublesome. Cats are animals that are hard to tame, let alone becoming a type of Qiong Qi afterward. In the end times, silence is indeed heard. Someone has a dog, even if it is distorted, is also very loyal. But I had never heard of it. Things about cats. Silence lingered for a moment, looking into the cage. Grinning Jiu cat spoke up. Be honest. I'll take care of you for a while longer, if it still doesn't get used to being raised. Even if you are a Qiong Qi, I'll just slaughter you and make a stew. That cat's fur immediately fluffed up, called out more fiercely. Silence opened the door, playing with 3 steel balls in hand. With a thud, the door was slammed shut. There is less than 1 day left. Tomorrow at 12 noon. It is the arrival of the apocalypse. Silence is now leaving, just for 2 things. 1. Acquire a large amount of food supplies. 2. Daishui money. Tianhai City, a desolate place, in the dilapidated streets. Silence walked into a passageway leading underground, gently knocked on the metal door in front. What kind of person? A deep and heavy voice sounded. A silent smile whispered softly, I came to buy some toys. The sound inside fell silent for a moment. It took a long while to respond. Come in. I know. The door in front of me slowly opened. A decaying stench mixed with thick smoke rushed toward him. Silence furrowed his brow. The underground house is surrounded by. They are all incredibly sharp weapons. Tao Tie, long sword, Damascus knife, Nepalese kukri. Cold weapons are here. Everything is available, neatly arranged, flashing with blinding fluorescence. Sitting at the front desk was someone smoking opium, the slightly dazed Kirin man. He is about 30 to 40 years old, wearing a leather jacket, wearing a skin-tight black bodysuit, tall and robust, putting both feet on the table, enjoying it comfortably. Q ran of the great hand opened one eye. A glance illuminated the silence. He scoffed sarcastically. Looking at you like this? Are you still a student? This place is quite remote. How do you know this place? Luo Tianxian. Before rebirth, Tanhai was extremely formidable. Leader of the survivor faction. This person before the end of the world. Engaged in some shady dealings, colluding with various non-state actors. Bold and straightforward in character. After the apocalypse, relying on these resources, and hence fearless character towards death, occupied the largest supermarket in Tianhai City. Ambition is immense. Establishing oneself as a king. Silence once resided within the power he had established. After a while, so naturally recognized him. A silent smile spoke up. Lion also judges people by appearance now. Yuo Xingxin's eyes slightly narrowed. Maide. The gaze turned unfriendly. The nickname Lion Yuo. Only those who are very familiar with themselves truly understand. But he remained silent for a long while. I don't remember where I've seen him. Couldn't help but burst into laughter. He stood up and spoke loudly. Aha, good boy. You are right. Give me one. He took it from the drawer. Take out a soft bell. Passed it over. Silence waved his hand. I don't smoke. What a pity. Luo Changshan didn't mind either, but rather with great interest. Looking silently, I said I wanted to buy something, as long as you have enough money. Even if it's this thing. Even if it's this thing. I have some too. Speaking, Luo Changshan took out from the drawer. He took out a handgun and started to toy with it. MP9 pistol. Luo Changshan wanted to break the silence on his face. Saw expressions of shock. What disappointed him was the silence across the way, still wearing a calm smile on her face. Even when seeing themselves draw the gun, not the slightest bit moved. "Sorry, but I can't assist with that." Luo Tianxiang's hypothesis, this person might not be an ordinary individual, suddenly felt bored to death. "Speak. What do you want?" Silently smiling at him. "Slowly utter a word." "Pan." As soon as these words were spoken, the entire scene suddenly became 3 degrees colder. A hint of killing intent flashed in Luo Tianxiang's eyes. Pa's handgun was also deactivated. "Oh, is this what you want? That might be a bit expensive," Luo Tianxiang said quietly without changing his expression. "Speak up. Who sent you here?" "The people of Chentian." It's still July. Silence shook its head, spoke calmly. "None of them are. I need some money. Distance from the end of the world. There is still 1 day left. If I were to rob a bank myself, even if I succeed, in less than an hour, will be filled with countless stunts. And technology. Surrounded. Let's not talk about it for now. Silence doesn't want to waste time on this. Even if we really do this. Silence doesn't feel anything either. Just awakened, I realized my dominion abilities. Able to face dozens of people armed with guns. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. Load several rounds into the magazine for yourself. But making money. But the best way to avoid alarming the outside world. Unintentionally, it means black eats black." Luo Tianxiang let out a cold laugh. "Like a lion, hunting like prey." Staring silently, he said, "Since you know, my name is Luo Tianxiang. Kid you. One person still dares to come here. I, Luo Tianxiang. I admire your courage. But the words are not finished yet." Luo Tianxiang immediately raised the gun in his hand towards silence. "Bum bum, bum." He fired several shots in quick succession. "You want my Luo Tianxiang's money. Then let's see you. Is this fate something you can take? Out of the blue, like them, a person who licks blood off the tip of a knife, unburdened and carefree. Even their identity is non-existent, lingering in the darkest places. Luo Xingsheng for decades. Nature is not a kind-hearted being either. Quick, precise, and ruthless. Not even giving silence a chance to respond. But for the silence across the way, yet still wearing a smile, when the 3 bullets came flying towards me. Thus, it is surprisingly hard to understand. Hovering in the air. Immediately after that, sap, sap, scattered on the ground. Seeing this scene, Luo Xingsheng's pupils dilated. His face was filled with shock. His expression was as if he had encountered a ghost. Bullet. It actually stopped. Luo Tianxiang breathed in sync. How is this possible? The scene before me directly overturned him. Understanding of this life, he was filled with fear, looked at the phone in his hand. It seems like I am doubting myself. Did I misread half of it? Silently smiled, slowly walked forward. I said, "I am just coming for the future. Are you human or a ghost?" Luo Tianxiang roared in terror. And Pan, another few shots, continuously fired away, silent and indifferent. As these bullets approached, in the shocked gaze of Luo Tianxiang, unexpectedly turned back along the original route, coming towards oneself. Luo Tianxiang trembled all over. The whole person felt as if struck by lightning, stood in place. He immediately shut his eyes tightly. Is it dead?" When he tightly closed his eyes for a long time and then opened them again, silence had appeared before me without me even realizing when. And those bullets, Surprisingly, they all hit the wall behind. Several small holes are emitting steam. Then Luo Tianxin took a deep breath. My soul was scared away. The silence in his eyes. It seemed to have transformed into the vengeful spirit coming to claim its life. Normal. His legs went weak, directly collapsed on the ground. He said with great fear, "Yu, I will give you any amount you want. Don't kill me." Silence revealed a gentle smile. Said, "It would have been better to do this earlier. I just 100,000." Saying this, silently revealed the mobile payment code. Luo Tianxin felt a chill run down his spine upon hearing this number. Pupils dilate. My heart keeps shouting and roaring. What about you? Zhang Tao Luo Xingxin is all alone. The family fortune isn't much to speak of, but there must be an intention from above. Such a fearless person, not even afraid of the consequences. He actually asked for 100,000 right away. Luo Jiangxin felt like crying but had no tears. Divine being, if you had revealed your skills earlier, don't say it's 100,000. Even if it's 1 million or 10 million. He also definitely offered it with both hands. But what he doesn't know is who. Tomorrow, it is the end of the world. By that time, no matter how much money you have, it's useless. Luo Tianxin trembled as he took out his phone. Then, XXX received 100,000 yuan. Passed. It has passed. Luo Tianxin glanced at Chen Mo timidly, fearing that the other party would kill to silence them. Silently smiled and nodded. He patted him on the shoulder and said, "Thank you." Silently glanced at the side sword. Her eyes sparkled. Said, "This knife is good. The listed price above is 300,000 US dollar." Luo Tianxin hurriedly said, "Senior, if you like it, take it. Take it. Everything can be taken." Silence nodded. "Take this sword carefully." Said, "This money, I won't take your things for nothing. I'll give you a piece of advice. Before noon tomorrow, prepare a large amount of supplies. The more, the better. Then stay here. Don't go anywhere." Luo Tianxin looked puzzled. "Wait. When the time comes, you just know." Silence spoke volumes. Turning around, I headed towards the door. "Walk away." Head. "Senior. Master. Please accept me as your disciple. How much does it cost? I am willing to pay for it all." At this moment, suddenly, a shout from Luo Tianxin came from behind. "Are you kidding me?" I used to not believe in these ghostly matters. But the abilities of this divine being before us, I saw it with my own eyes. A moment of silence. Waved his hand. Did not stop because of this. Only Luo Tianxin remained on the ground, staring blankly for a long time. Tomorrow noon." Luo Tianxin kept muttering the words left by silence. His eyes shimmered. In the end, it seemed like a decision had been made. He gritted his teeth and said, "Damn it, I don't believe that such a divine person would deceive me." He immediately dialed a phone number. Heavy breathing came from the other end of the phone. A loud, carefree voice rang out. "Luo Ji, why do you have time to call me today? Who is it?" Jiao Mei's voice reached Luo Tianxin, causing him to frown. "This guide is out partying again." Luo Tianxin shouted, "Jiang Dong, are you in the city center now? Go. Send the brothers to the supermarket. Move everything that is edible and usable for me. 4 people. Luo Ji, are you trying to rob the supermarket? Forget you. Who wants to steal it? Use money to buy it for me. I transferred 30 million to you. Buy as much as you can of what you need. Not enough. Call me again. Before noon tomorrow at 12 o'clock. All sent to me. Let go, even if it's hard to do. Stop wasting my time. Just do what you're told. Why ask so much? And Yuo Tianxian hung up the phone. 30 million. Although it hurts to part with the meat. But Yuo Tianxian still gritted his teeth. Decided to buy it. He turned to look behind him. Those people. Just small holes one by one on the wall. This wall is made of alloy. The bullets can't penetrate. Let's go all out. Just indulge once. This divine being must know something. Could it be that you would deceive an ordinary person like me? Inside the supermarket in Tianai City, Chen Mo also bought a large amount of food and water. Honestly speaking, just for myself, this 100,000 yuan is simply impossible to spend. Silence never intended to stay long in Heishi on this day. Awaking of the two-in-one, after Ping'an advanced to the second level, preparing to set off for Huibai City, the early days of the apocalypse. As long as we don't encounter a leader level 1, it will come, as long as the physical condition is good, or those who carry firearms. There is a high probability that everyone will get through it. But when it comes to next year's New Year's Eve, the terrifying beast of doom, code-named 55, it will appear. Unlike the gods and ferocious beasts of various regions, they won't easily leave their territory. But the year beast is different. Wherever it passes, not a blade of grass grows. Lasted for a full month. That month, it is humanity's darkest hour, the first appearance of the year beast, and devoured hundreds of millions of people along with a type of silent eyes flicker. Memories of the past days flood my mind. And his expression was unusually resolute. This life, I possess dominion abilities that rival those of the gods. No matter who it is. No one can stop me. On silence, revealing traces of spiritual energy. This is the story of everyone who survived in the apocalypse. An inherent charm that comes effortlessly. And by coincidence, just right here, Silence encountered Wang Liao, who had come shopping together. Lai Yuan and the two of them. Silence, Wang Liao exclaimed in astonishment. There's no way. Silence in the supermarket. It is indeed too eye-catching. Beside him, there are at least dozens arranged. A cart filled with food. And beside Wang Liao was Lai Yuan. After meeting Silence, the expression changed drastically. It felt like meeting a nemesis, filled with fear. Clearly, they have not yet recovered from the fright of that day. Regaining composure, silently glanced at Wang Liao across the way. Today's him, dressed in lightweight casual wear, holding a valuable handbag in hand. A head of black curly hair, applied some light makeup. Looks youthful and vibrant, full of the vitality of a young girl. Chen Mo nodded silently. I'm sorry, but I can't process that request. Seeing the other person's cold demeanor, as if facing a stranger. Wang Liao's heart skipped a beat, bit her red lips. Then I glanced at the face beside me, swollen like a pearl, dry and desolate. Lai Yuan with an unhappy expression. He didn't even dare to look at the Silence. Afraid to death Wang Liao. I don't want my boyfriend. He is such a cowardly person. Some dissatisfaction, but it wasn't shown. Spoke up. Lai Yuan, you go take a look around first. I have something to discuss with Silence. I will come to find you later. Lai Yuan widened his eyes. His face looked even worse. He stared fixedly. Wang Liao with a cold expression. That expression seemed to say, I am your current boyfriend. And this one in front of me, that's clearly your ex-boyfriend. Lai Yuan felt a chest full of anger, gave a fierce glare at the silence. HMPH, you'd better do so. Let out a cold snort, and left with a very displeased remark, turning away and leaving. Watching Lai Yuan walk away, Wan Liao turned around. Silence still lingers on the shelves. Selecting supplies, Wan Liao took a deep breath, stepped forward and said, "What are you buying so many things for?" So much. Can you finish eating?" That day. You didn't come to find me." Silence. Wan Liao's moment of speech, because he discovered, no matter what I ask. Silence was very cold. Only one word back. Either don't come back. Compared to the enthusiasm of the past, two completely different people. Silence. "How have you been?" Wan Liao bit his lip, softly asked. The actions in the silence came to a halt. She turned to look at him, who wore a face full of grievance. And then they began to pack the supplies. Spoke with his head down. Once I didn't notice. Now I understand." Wan Liao felt puzzled. "What? You are not just a saint. And she is truly a green tea bitch. Pack up the things." Silently said. Truly disgusting. Aj. This sentence, like a bolt of lightning, pierced deeply into Wan Liao's heart. He stared with wide, beautiful eyes, staring in disbelief, a face of indifferent silence. You should go see Lai Yuan. Otherwise, finally adjusted to the golden dawn. It's about to run. Silence pushed the cart, one by one. The day it was delivered to the cash register, only Wan Liao remains. Stood there foolishly, trembling all over. We broke up, still lingering in memory, making it seem like I'm the one who is wronged. Moreover, my current boyfriend is still here. This is not about gaining knowledge. If not for the fact that tomorrow is the end of the world, silence might just make him pay back directly. Check out. It's still the same cashier sister from before, looking at the dozens of carts in front of me, big and small. The cashier was no longer surprised. She said with a smile, "Mister, is it still the same address?" Chen Mo nodded silently. The cashier was counting rapidly. Price said, "Okay, here is your total of 22,112 yuan." Silently scanned the code to pay. Looking at the balance above, there are still over 70,000. Endless flowers. It can't be spent at all. With these supplies, I have enough to stay alone in Tanai for a year. Of course, the premises, these are unpurified, without destroying the building. By the mid-apocalypse, after the establishment of each theater of war, daily distributions will be made in the combat zone, a liquid called supply fluid. After taking it, you can go several days without eating. Of course, compared to that, it's a bit bittersweet. Disgusting liquid, those big shots. I still prefer to enjoy a table full of delicious dishes. Silence knows. In the apocalypse, this piece of bread, for ordinary people, how precious it is. But he doesn't care. After becoming a supernatural being, class concerns between people, the ability will become more apparent, no matter where it is. They are all absolute supreme beings. A person walked out of the supermarket in silence. Looking at this endless expanse, the sunset is adorned with beautiful morning glow. Everything is so peaceful and serene. It's like the calm that brews before the night falls. Silence couldn't help but murmur, "Son, it's about to get dark." It's truly beautiful. Cherish it well. This last sunset. I don't know if it's a rebirth, or perhaps it is the reason for awakening the sovereign's abilities. This time, Silence faces the arrival of the apocalypse, without any fear or dread. Instead, still faintly, with a hint of anticipation. After the silence walks away, a large crowd suddenly surged into the supermarket. The ancient goods dealer looks very sophisticated, dressed in black suits, sturdy and rough-built, holding a big knife and a stick, like a mobster. Don't move. Leading the way with a cigar in his mouth, a man in black clothes with dyed yellow hair, with a loud shout. People in an era of peace. Where have I seen this scene before? At that moment, just got a scare. They crouched on the ground, holding their heads and begging for mercy. A rugged-looking man noticed the youthful and beautiful Wang Liao, approached and teased. "The little girl is quite pretty. Do you want to have a few drinks with the guys?" Wang Liao felt as if awakening from a great dream. Suddenly awakened, reacted back. A scream, called out instinctively. Lai Yuan, Lai Yuan. He was scared at first. They started searching for Lai Yuan's location, but found. Lai Yuan unexpectedly leaned against a corner of the wall, so scared that I directly lay down on the spot. A surge of anger welled up in my heart. The man in black sneered at the sight. Said, "This is your boyfriend." HMPH. Caused a stir. "Damn it. What are you doing?" At that moment, an extremely angry voice erupted. From outside the supermarket, a tall man walked in, shouted angrily, "Didn't Layazi say it all? We are here to make a purchase. Procurement, the kind that requires payment. You each stand here in this rule of law society. Everyone wants to reach the heavens. This is on the road. UOG's command. Don't waste my time here. I won't let you go easily. Did you hear that? Go grab it. No, it's shopping. When the visitor arrives, dozens of suited thugs were present. All were like rabbits that had encountered a tiger. Hastily nodded. Hey, sister, this is G's Y way. Feel free to get in touch when you have time. The strong man in front of Wang Liao. Ning smiled, left a note with lingering reluctance. Wang Liao's body trembled uncontrolledly. See this group of people, frantically starting to shop for things. Unconsciously glanced to the side. Lai Yuan scared half to death. Her beautiful eyes reflected endless disappointment. At this moment, Lai Yuan, compared to silence, it's simply far from adequate. On the other side, the silence of having so much money left. Indulged for once. Enjoyed a lavish meal. This dinner spent over 40,000. Finally, enjoyed it once more. The value of 18,888 is noble. SAP massage service. Returned home feeling completely relaxed. The purchased supplies. Put everything in order. The entire rental house. It seemed even narrower and more crowded. As if knowing what is about to happen. The chrysanthemum cat in the iron cage, restlessly calling out continuously. The claws kept scratching against the iron cage. Amid a piercing sound, Silence casually tore open a bag of cat food. Put it in a bowl. Put it in. Meow. When the iron cage opens above, when the silent hand reaches in, that chrysanthemum cat let out a piercing scream, reaching for his hand. Silently, the eyes squinted slightly. Kaka. Surrounding iron cage. Unexpectedly, the gathering started to twist and change. In an instant, this chrysanthemum cat, stuck in the middle of life, disobedient. There's no cat food to eat either. Silence glanced at him faintly. Who would have thought this great chrysanthemum proudly lifted its head, meowed disdainfully a few times, clearly disdainful of this mere cat food. Uh, Recalling how he ate that duck leg rice yesterday. Eating has nearly depleted. Silence watched him with great interest. Said, "You don't want to eat this." Meow, meow. Silent eyes shimmer. He directly opened the refrigerator. Stuffed full to the brim, there's not a bit of space left for the frozen beef. Took it out. I can't be bothered to defrost it. Just like that, it was lost to the past. Are you eating? The eye of the big chrysanthemum cat, staring intently at the beef in the cage. Drool fell involuntarily from my mouth. Meow, meow. Chen Mo smiled upon seeing this. Directly take this distorted cage. Restoration. Ju Miao clearly showed some apprehension. He stepped forward and sniffed the piece of beef, looked up again at the silence. Eat up. I want to kill you. Already took action. Silence softly said, "These frozen meat products, I don't know how long it can be preserved. This little thing, if it loves to eat, just let it eat." Ju Cat's gaze softened a bit, as if one could understand. Now it is no longer frying cats. He started chewing with big bites. Click, clack. Amazingly surprising moments. This frozen beef in the mouth of the chrysanthemum cat. It's just like eating an ice pop, shattered by those incredibly sharp teeth. Silence looked at it with some surprise. Noticed the bite marks on the iron dragon. These iron dragons, but used by oneself. The master has reinforced the supernatural abilities. All is lost. In the future, the Tianhai-style Overlord Qiong Qi. Indeed, extraordinary. It's not the end of the world yet. Has shown its uniqueness compared to other wild cats and dogs. Silence also took a piece of bread and started nibbling on it. Speaking as he did so, "Can you understand what I am saying?" The big orange cat is gnawing on frozen beef. There was a noticeable pause. Silence. "They all say animals can surpass humans, foreseeing the arrival of danger. I think you should have noticed something too. Do you want to come out of the cage?" Silent question. Daju cat raised its head, that lone remaining eye, glistening with a mysterious light under the moonlight. Meow. Silence. "Follow me. Let you out." Disagree. "Tomorrow you die." To avoid this big chrysanthemum cat not understanding. So Silence tries to be as concise and clear as possible. The big chrysanthemum cat in the iron cage has stopped moving. The sparkle in those eyes is like a blooming flower. It was as if he was deep in thought, not knowing how much time has passed. The big chrysanthemum cat finally found 2 coins lying on the ground, lowered the proud head. Now, had to call out. Silent strength, slightly sweaty hands. With a lift of the right hand, the iron cage shattered like a glass bottle filled with water. In an instant, it turned into liquid, rushing towards the neck of that big chrysanthemum cat. The molten iron transformed into an incredibly sturdy collar. It was placed around the neck of the Jew cat. "Don't think about escaping. I think you should understand." Silently it said, "Meow." Felt as if something was tightening around the neck. Ju Miao gently let out a soft purr. Standing with a raised tail, leaped onto the silent bed, exposing the belly, gently rubbed against his body. Silent and strong, he smiled broadly. I actually succeeded. He couldn't help but feel a bit excited to know this calico cat would become quite extraordinary in the future. Shattered silk threads, swallowed the divine Shaoxi god of Tianai City and took their place. With her own rebirth, everything has changed. Silence gently caressed the chrysanthemum cat by its side, whispered softly, Tomorrow marks the day of the complete arrival of the apocalypse. Follow me. I will help you reclaim the name of Qiong Qi." Silence slowly turned on the phone. A storm of hatred surged in his eyes. "Uncle Lin, your good days are over." In the phone appeared a handsome face. "It looks fun. It is unfair." A photo of a rebellious young man. The young man in the photo is wearing a suit, eyes filled with arrogance and confidence. And the brief information below is: "Uncle Lin, Qian'ai City's Xinhuang Group President, age 23 years old, gendered male, feel in Qunhai, Jinyuan Military Region, position unspecified, son-in-law Feng Hua, Tanyu Group President, certain committee member, Yelin Wanli, former commander of the Jinyuan Military District." Uncle Lin has an extraordinary background. Before the end times, one's own level is fundamentally unrelated to this person. So, silence led Uncle Lin. Leave it until this last day to handle. This day finally arrived. Once the hatred, everything will end tomorrow. And this, it is merely the beginning of oneself. The true aberrant deity that caused everyone's demise is ultimately the target they must slaughter. One day later, November 23, 2049, 10:00 a.m., silence accompanies the chrysanthemum cat, and left with the sword taken from Luo Changshan. Before departure, silence had its last breakfast: soy milk and fried dough sticks. Simply straightforward. Then took a taxi, set off in the direction of the new Qiong Group. Qian'ai City, center, Xinhuang Group, tall skyscrapers, standing tall here. Various luxury cars passed by. A taxi is parked in place. Silently got out of the car, observing everything around, because it's still a weekday. There are many white-collar and blue-collar workers coming and going. Only the silence in a somewhat faded gray coat, and the chrysanthemum cat beside him with a metal ring, somewhat out of place, silently gazing at the entrance of the new Qiong Group, walking forward. Then the big door opens. "Who are you?" As soon as the silence stepped in, a reprimanding voice soon followed. It turned out to be the security personnel guarding this place. Staring intently, they finally spoke. This voice is very loud, attracted quite a few office workers to watch. However, they all appeared indifferent, just looked for a while, quickly departing. "What are you doing?" "This is the new Qiong Group. No unauthorized personnel allowed inside." Security personnel holding a baton. He looked at him with a stern expression and said nothing. Mao, Jiu Mao let out a sharp cry, grinning widely at the security personnel. There is also a cat. The security personnel became even more displeased. Silently calm, not caring at all about others' gazes. He said softly, "Is Uncle Lin here?" The security personnel furrowed their brows. "Lin Song, what are you looking for from General Lin?" Silently smiled. She revealed a radiant smile. "Some matters need to be handled by him." The security personnel scrutinized the silent, shabby figure. He sneered. "I don't care who you are. I want to join my new Qiong Group. You must have a pass to enter. President Lin is not someone to be trifled with. If you want to see it, you can." The silent gaze narrowed slightly. I glanced at the equipment for testing the public badge. The sovereign can be used. Bam! The equipment at the detection entrance emitted an unusual sound. Blue smoke began to rise. "It feels like there are broken parts inside." Silence, and Jew Cat swaggered in boldly. "What the hell is going on?" The security personnel was startled by the sudden sound. He suddenly glared at the one who had entered silently. "You stop right there." Don't force us to take action. This time it really caught the attention of the employees within the new Qiong group. The situation had reached a stalemate. Silence remains unresponsive, walking towards the front desk. Seeing the other party being so disrespectful, the security personnel felt embarrassed. If he is allowed to enter like this, then don't expect to keep your own job. He looked at the other security personnel nearby, loudly said, "Stop that person for me. Qiong Qi was in Qiong group, disturbing the peace in public. Take him to the station." Swish, swish, swish. Around 5 or 6 security guards all raised their batons. Step forward and reflect on the past. They surrounded it with silence. Who is this guy? So bold? I don't know. I guess it's a troublemaker sent by the neighboring group. I think I heard him say he wants to find General Lin. But will Lin's all know this kind of person? Stop around. The white-collar workers who want to see a good show. Debates are rampant. Stop right there. Take one step forward. Don't blame us for being impolite. One of the security guards shouted loudly. Silently glanced at everyone. Take out the phone. November 23, 2049, 11:03. I'm sorry, but I can't assist with that. It's 11 o'clock. Silence glanced at them. I don't want to waste any more time. Just as I was about to make a move. Meow, meow. The nearby Jiumao let out a scream, leaping up to a height of 3 meters. Bite and claw at one of the security guards' faces. The speed is incredible. They hadn't even reacted yet. Several deep blood stains have already appeared. Jiumao lands on the ground. Licked its own paw. Immediately after that, a heart-wrenching scream echoed through the air. The security guard crouched down in immense pain, covering the face deeply. Blood flows endlessly. Slippery. Everyone was shocked by this scene. Did I not see it wrong? That chrysanthemum cat, it surprisingly jumped over 2 meters high. But I know that mammals have good jumping ability. But this is 2 meters. It's a big deal. Blood has been shed. This matter is definitely not small. Everyone thinks, the scruffy-looking guy in front of me. I'm in big trouble. Beast. Another security. Extremely angry. Directly swinging the baton. Gao Gao struck towards Ju Mao. Silent and strong. The right index finger twitched slightly. Bum bum. Bum. Beside the silence, all devices with metal. Blow them all up. The baton suddenly bent. Even the security measures set up. Carried. Communicator and mobile phone. Suddenly there was a loud explosion. Countless fragments tearing apart. The scene was horrifying beyond belief. What's wrong? What happened? Those batons. The crowd started to panic. Inside the first floor of the entire building. Also instantly flickered. Red alert. Buzzing. Look at you all. This eye, that guy. What is that? Someone's pupils are dilated. Full of disbelief. Looked towards the silence in the center of the arena. Only the silence beside me. Unknowingly, a star appeared. A silver steel ball, continuously circling among everyone, under the incredible gaze. Eat these steel balls. It felt as if it was. His control is average. Suddenly, towards those few, the security guard sprang into action. Just a coin. A steel ball the size of a fingernail. When we collided with those few, security personnel behind, a surge erupted. The terrifying impact. They eat. Suddenly it flew out directly. Rumble, rumble. Death. Everyone's expression, as if seeing a ghost. Sucked in a breath of cold air. A white-collar worker stared wide-eyed, tightly holding onto his glasses. murmured in a terrified tone. That guy. It is manipulating those steel balls. Am I dreaming? Those round beads returned to my side. On silence, as if possessing a magnetic field, constantly spinning, silently, with a calm expression, calmly glanced around. The people present, with a flick of his fingers. Boop, one of the beads. Surprisingly, the walls of this new Qiong group directly pierced through the small opening shrouded in white mist. Every one that once held my breath, you gent one. Upon seeing this scene, silence. Who else will stop me? Next time will be just like this wall. The sound is not loud, but in an absolutely quiet and soundless environment, it reached everyone's ears. Everyone's heart skipped a beat. This shocking scene leaves the world in awe. Scared me to death. Silence came to the forefront. Two beautiful women were sitting at the front desk. A young woman in uniform. Uncle Lin. Where is it? The two women were still in shock. Didn't come to my senses. When witnessing the profound silence, when filled with a murderous gaze, they trembled uncontrollably. Even speaking, they all stutter a bit. Then, Mr. Lin is here, in the office on the 23rd floor. Silently listened and walked away without turning back. Cat proudly raised her head, lifting its fluffy tail. Follow closely. After saying this, two young women, breathing heavily. My back is completely soaked. Everyone present looked at each other. Today's scene, it directly refreshed their worldview that had lasted for decades. It is truly too shocking for the world. This is it magic? Someone is watching. The small hole that was frozen through. I felt like my limbs were somewhat out of control as I spoke. No, I don't know. How about it? Call the police. Correct. Yes, yes. Quick, call the police. Chen, Mo, and Ju Mao entered the elevator. The elevator goes straight up. In front of me is a whole piece of transparent glass. As the elevator ascends, can see clearly the magnificent skyscrapers outside. Uncle Lin's location. It's the 23rd floor of the new Qiong Group building. Presidential office. Then the elevator stopped at the 16th floor. The door slowly opened. A group of people holding coffee stood at the elevator entrance, wearing an office lady uniform. A group of young, tall girls. They were chatting and laughing. Upon encountering the silence in the elevator, one of them has big wavy hair. The woman with a hot figure frowned. He spoke up with some displeasure. But are those security personnel from Xin Qiong just slackers? How did such a person get in here? There is also a cat. The girls in front were eyeing the silent attire. Their faces all showed disdain. Forget it. Anran, the supervisor is still urging us. Let's go up. At this moment, a girl beside reminded. Zai Zurin nodded, rubbing the sleeves and frowning. Walked in while pinching their nose, as if facing something unclean. Speaking of, I really have bad luck. Suddenly, a piercing scream echoed. Mel, the big orange cat is baring its teeth at everyone, glaring fiercely at the group of women before him. This scared them so much that their faces lost all color. Some even couldn't hold their coffee properly, scattered all over the ground. Security guard. Where is the security guard? Zai Zern grew even more displeased. Shouted loudly. Who allowed pets in the company? Be quiet. Silence softly spoke. The big orange cat turned its head and glanced at her. Then she turned and brushed against her pant leg with a graceful step. Go up. Silently and calmly watching the white-collar workers in front of me. Dan said, Zai Zurin glanced over warily. The blind cat. Leisurely enlightenment. Forget it, forget it. Let's wait for the next train. This is really unfortunate. Silence was also ignored. Nodding, he closed the elevator door. Bum. The elevator continues to rise. A group of white-collar workers stood in place, grumbling and discussing among themselves. Silently glanced. Time on the phone. November 23, 2049. 11:30. I'm sorry, but I can't assist with that. Half an hour left. F. Gain. When the elevator opens again, it was boldly written above. 23rd floor. Silently, he walked out with a blank expression. On the wrist covered by the sleeve. A metal ring gradually turned into liquid, transformed into a great sword. Appeared on the right hand. Who are you? There aren't many people on this level, but the silence carries weapons. It is obviously very eye-catching. Aye, that is a knife. Run away quickly. Everyone was startled by the scene. They scattered and fled. Silence drags the knife. The gaze revealed an overwhelming intent to kill. Walking towards the president's office. At this moment, inside the office of the Xinhuang Group's president, a woman with a seductive and revealing figure, a woman with heavy makeup, lying comfortably in Uncle Lin's embrace. Her face reddened. He gasped for breath and said, Lin Zong, you were just so brave. The woman is an internet celebrity with 1 million followers. Can be in front of Uncle Lin, as obedient as a little kitten. Sit here. Aren't you afraid of being discovered? Uncle Lin was smoking. Put your legs on the table. He let out a hearty laugh. Inside the new Qiong Group, it's my call, even if it is discovered. So what? Speaking. Uncle Lin smiled kindly, looked at the woman, that towering wind, and grabbed it in one go. Started to knead. Ate it. With a shy voice, she called out to the internet celebrity, but did not refuse. At that moment, bum, a loud bang. They're unexpectedly kicked open by someone. Suddenly, can directly contact Uncle Lin, startled with the woman in his arms. Uncle Lin. The internet celebrity was directly scared and just busy. Put on the jacket. Someone ruined a good thing. Uncle Lin's expression. It sank down immediately, staring from outside the door. The silence that approaches slowly. Angrily said, Which department are you from? I don't know what this young master hates the most. Is someone here to disturb me? His expression was fierce and unkind. That gaze seemed like it could kill silence. But when I see silence in my hands, at that time, the great sword, the pupils suddenly constricted. Uncle Lin. Silence walked through the door. Gently closed the door behind you. His face was filled with murderous intent. He spoke softly. It's been a long time since we last met. Feeling the silence on my body, the overwhelming killing intent. Uncle Lin's body trembled. The newcomers are not friendly. What do you want to do? Where's the security? How did you get in? A surge of emotions suddenly welled up in his heart. A terrible premonition. And the female internet celebrity beside me, still unaware of the danger, came closer. Jiao Sheng asked, Lin Zong, who is this guy? How would I know? Uncle Lin got off the stool, stepped back a few paces. I think Uncle Lin is. Have I offended you in any way? Calm down. Come here. It's about money. It's about money. What else do you want? As the pride of heaven. He quickly calmed down, staring intently at the silence in hand, the sharp katana that gleamed with a sheen, without changing expression. Opened the drawer with the right hand. In that drawer, suddenly there was a handgun, Both parents are high-ranking officials. Grandpa is a big shot in the military district. This kind of thing. Nature is meant for self-defense. Silently staring at his familiar face. But there were also some unfamiliar faces. Revealed a smile that was incredibly cautious. You might not remember me, but I remember it very clearly. 15 years after the end of the world, you aim to get rid of the fish, directly send us to fight. The impossible task. The fish were captured by that deity. Nibble away little by little. I return as a soldier who has fallen in battle, but you treated it as the sinner of this operation. Is you don't remember at all. In the silence of the eyes. Spoke loudly, filled with hatred. I can never forget. The fish met a tragic end in the scene before me, and returned to the sixth war zone, became oneself, the scapegoat of the sacred book, exiled beyond the war zone, surrounded and devoured by countless kinds. What exactly are you talking about? Feel this force, the scent of a mountain of corpses and a sea of blood, like a giant mountain, pressing down on oneself. Ling Shu's breathing was a bit heavy. My back was soaked through. What mode? What deity? Silently watching behind Ling Shu. Those transparent glass pieces. Sky. Unbeknownst to me when. The white day meteors have already fallen. Countless people gathered around. In front of a large crowd. Take out your phone. Staring in utter amazement. This beautiful and captivating scene. You will know soon. A soft laugh of silence. But before that, let's settle the accounts first. Silence drags the katana. With every step taken, the sword will emit the harsh sound of scraping. Splash, thud. Ling Shu only felt her heart beating fiercely. The female internet celebrity beside me let out a terrified scream. He fainted directly. You don't come over here. The spiritual book continuously retreated, looked pale with fear, and said nothing. I am the president of the new Qiong group. My grandfather was a former military region leader. What do you want? His money it. What do you want? I can give you everything. He was screaming and roaring inside. Why until now? Not a single person from the Xinhuang group showed up. The security downstairs. Are they all a bunch of useless people? Don't worry. I won't let you experience the taste of what I felt. I won't let you die so easily. The silence at this moment, like a vengeful spirit emerging from hell, with a frenzied expression. Step by step we came. I already said it. Don't come over. Under such oppressive pressure, the spirit book's heart and guts are about to burst. He immediately pulled out the handgun he had taken earlier. Knock, knock, knock. A series of bullets shot out. Then, a few steel balls collide with each other. Sparks erupted. That bullet. It unexpectedly fell to the ground. A crisp sound echoed. Ling Shu was completely stunned. His legs kept going weak. Lean back. What kind of monster are you? Why, even bullets can't hurt him. I want to kill my spiritual book. Then you die first. The spirit book let out a furious roar. Several shots were fired in succession. Bad, bad. The gunfire continued until all the bullets in the handgun were fired. Ling Shu was breathless and kneeling gracefully on the ground, breathing heavily. But when he lifted his head, discovering silence, at that very moment before my eyes, the pupils dilated. A sudden sense of suffocation washed over. This is impossible. Why didn't you die? Then he was suddenly lifted by someone. The silent right hand gripped his neck tightly like a giant claw. The spiritual book lifted off the ground, face flushed. constantly struggling. You mean to say, is this it? A silent smile. Bullets trembled violently on the ground. Then it floated up, arrived in front of the spirit book. Ling Shu Yugyueng noticed these bullets. The terrified eyes were about to pop out. Monster. It's a monster. Who exactly is this person? It turns out that even bullets can be ignored. He was pinned against the wall by silence. I can't even catch my breath. Convulsing all over. A foul odor wafted in. Chen Mo frowned in silence, looking at the liquid dripping onto the ground. He actually got so scared that he peed himself. Puff. Aye. Rout. Spare my life. Ling Shu's face turned a deep shade of blue and purple, hoarsely begging for mercy. Have I offended you in some way? Money. I have a lot of money. Here you go. I can't give you anything. Silently smiled. He said slowly, this appearance. That's really unlike you. Ling Xiao, while speaking, a few bullets floating beside the silence, instantly shot into the limbs of the spirit book. Pachi, pachai, countless splatters of blood. A sensation of weightlessness and intense pain struck. A scream of unbearable pain rang out. The spirit book curled up on the ground, sweating profusely from the pain, rolling around with gritted teeth. The silence stained with blood on half a face. Touched the hot blood on my face. He. The expression became even more frenzied. Could you please clarify or provide more details about your request? I'd be happy to help. Spirit book, do you know? The people who were killed because of you. 100 times more painful than you are now. Intestines. The organs were all pulled out by that deity. In moments of clarity, watching myself slowly die. And you, with the most contemptuous expression, spoke a sentence. Do you want to know what that is? Silently caressing the katana in hand. Said softly. Ling Shu gritted her teeth, gently opened eyes with a faint breath, eyes filled with fear and pleading. No, I don't know. Spare my life. He doesn't want to die. He was born to be a genius. You can have whatever you desire, even if I really killed someone. My parents and grandfather behind me will also help me sort things out. At most, it's just a compensation of a few million. Silently crouched down. A cautious smile hung on her face, looking at Uncle Lin in extreme pain. A handrail is beside his ear. He whispered in his tone, that's just the fate of a group of lower-class people. No matter how many die, it won't matter. Uncle Lin's breathing was steady. And now those who have died. I came back from hell to take my revenge on you. Silence is filled with coldness in the eyes. A silver beam of light descended. With a swift motion of the knife, Uncle Lin's eyes widened. A howl filled with bloodshot eyes. His limbs were cleanly severed. 4 bloody holes. Blood gushed forth continuously. This intense pain. Uncle Lin fainted on the spot. At that moment, suddenly, countless hurried footsteps echoed from outside the door. Still not stopping. You have already been surrounded by us. The sniper has locked onto your position. Now surrender. It's not too late. A voice filled with anger echoed through the loudspeaker. Outside Xinhuang Group, at this moment, countless police cars and special police appear. The sound of sirens blare incessantly. It's really fast. Silently glanced sideways. The phone that fell off Uncle Lin. It clearly shows that they are in a call. If one hasn't awakened their special abilities. A few days ago, Uncle Lin was killed. I'm afraid we will face an attack from hundreds, if not thousands, of people. But it doesn't matter anymore. Silently looked at the time on the phone. 11:57. I'm sorry, but I can't assist with that. 3 minutes left. With a wave of the silent hand. The power of controlling supernatural abilities to the fullest. Surrounding objects, fierce and tumultuous, began to tremble. Transformed into countless iron leaves, they surged toward that door, gradually formed into an indestructible metal gate. Bump! Outside the door, after breaking through this door, the Special Forces soldier holding a firearm, seeing this scene, furious light vibrates. When did this door appear? In the president's office. Silence rises. Glimpsed. The ground is already half dead. Uncle Lin, whose vitality is gradually fading, wrap its limbs with the iron leaves. To prevent him from bleeding to death, Silence lifted him off the ground, facing the belly. With a powerful punch, the immense pain suddenly jolted Uncle Lin awake. His face was pale, pale as a ghost, looking at everything around. Uncle Lin was instantly engulfed by fear. "Isn't this it? Isn't it? Spare my life. I beg you." This is already the umpteenth time he has said this without knowing. Silently he pressed him against the wall, looked towards a tall building across the way. Where is it? A sniper was lying in wait here. The pulse carries anger and sound. That is the grandson of that esteemed gentleman. Aye, aye, aye. You are allowed. Shot and killed the assailant. Fired. Bump. A deafening sound echoed. The surrounding transparent glass shattered into pieces in an instant, just when the sniper thought he had delivered a fatal shot. Sniper bullet suddenly stopped in front of the silence. The silent pupil shrank. Boom! The bullet grazed past the cheek, heavily struck the iron door behind him. Smoke began to waft. The sniper on the opposite side trembled all over. The expression was one of utter shock. Lost. Failed. How could this be happening all of a sudden? Did I see it wrong? Bullet. It actually stopped. Falcon. Did it succeed? The sniper swallowed hard in disbelief. The voice was hoarse. Captain. Failed. Iful. Why wasn't this person shot dead? Instead, it exposed his own location. Rolled down. In the building across the way, a streak of blood, slowly emerging from the silent cheeks. Uncle Lin was in utter despair at that moment. Even sniper bullets can't kill this person. He really couldn't think of it. Ultimately, is there any other way to kill this monster? Silence. Scolded softly. The power of a sniper bullet. It can't be compared to a handgun. Master of energy. Ultimately, it has just awakened. If you reach the second tier, even a sniper bullet, you can't even get close to your own body. Silently watching the time slip away on the phone, his expression became increasingly frantic. After the tempered glass shattered. No more protection. Take another step forward. Just let it fall. Silence held onto Uncle Lin. Caught it at a height of 23 floors. Look down here. A dense crowd of people. Uncle Lin was trembling all over. Pupils dilating. Screamed in terror. "Don't kill me. Please don't kill me." And this scene. It was also clearly noticed by the countless people below. A passionate youth, a man in military uniform, noticed this scene through the telescope. Tao Tie let out a cold breath. "Death, put the gun down, damn it. That is old man Lin's grandson. Go prepare the life-saving device. That guy, what do you really want to do?" The large man in military uniform looked horrified. "Before coming here, they will silence everything. Everything has been investigated. Completely clean. Silence and Uncle Lin. It's completely unrelated. There is not even half a connection. Is assume. It is as ordinary as it can be. Why is that? Would go to such lengths. What terrified him even more was just one person. How did it ultimately get blocked? Fully armed special forces. Uncle Lin is now completely stunned. My whole body feels weak. The soul was scared away to the distant skies. Silently glanced at the time. Let out a hearty laugh. Open your dog eyes wide. Take a good look. The second hand keeps moving, silently whispering to oneself. 3, 2, 1. When the time struck 12, at exactly midnight, November 23, 2049, buzzing sound. Everything. It feels as if time has stopped at this moment. In the ears of people around the world, countless winds began to echo. Aj! A deafening roar echoed through the air. The entire earth beneath your feet. Everything began to shake violently. The earth is separating. Countless gaping wounds light deep abysses opened up. Originally, the sky was clear without a cloud in sight. It unexpectedly turned as red as the night. A huge gash was ripped open. The dazzling daytime meteor in the sky transformed into a deadly red meteorite. One by one, they fell to the ground. Rumbling sound. At this moment, far away in the Yangtze and Yellow River basins, towering waves arise. The ancient Yangtze and Yellow Rivers. It transformed into a black and white creature capable of devouring the heavens. Looking up to the sky, he rose. A deafening roar erupted. Tianhai city center. A gigantic hand reached out. In the ancient sacred land, awakened the slumbering deities. Mountain flood, tsunami, earthquake, the collapse of magnificent buildings. Judgment at this moment. Everything seems to have vanished. The sky and earth changed colors. The apocalypse is about to begin. Uncle Lin trembled violently. He watched the building in front of him with his own eyes. One by one, they collapsed. The sound of explosions echoed in the distance. Smoke of gunfire rises. The sound of alarms was incessant. His eyes, covered by that eerie crimson. Lips and teeth trembled continuously. What happened? The silence beside witnessed this scene, shaking all over in the same way. It's just that, compared to Uncle Lin's fear and despair, he is excited. Uncle Lin were heavily thrown to the ground. Silence turned around. In this dim light, the pupils pierce the soul, flickering with an eerie glow. Behind him, it is a dim, blood-red sky. Countless meteors, burning with fierce flames, fell. Heaven and earth collapse. Countless terrified screams and gunshots echoed in my ears. Janet, what happened to you? Wake up. Captain. What happened to them? Ban. Silence opened its arms. Facial expressions in a frenzy of debate. Showed a strange smile. Said slowly, Uncle Lin, welcome to Apocalypse. No one would have thought. This represents the bright meteor of a wonderful stay in the hospital. Will transform into individual beings. The meteor that took their lives. Natural disaster. Man-made disaster. Earthquake disaster. In various locations of Tianhai City. The crowd fled. Wails filled the air. Former friends one by one. Just a moment ago, there was laughter and conversation. The next second became extremely ferocious. A zombie with thick saliva dripping from its mouth, charging towards oneself. Stray mice, cats, and dogs wandering the streets. Begin to expand. Became gigantic and bloodthirsty, higher than a small car. In less than 10 minutes, all traffic is paralyzed. Dead bodies and remains everywhere. In the face of this extremely bizarre apocalyptic disaster, everything seems so insignificant and pathetic. At this moment, silence within the Xinhuang group. With a crazed expression, He stared at the scene before him. Here it comes. Finally arrived. Uncle Lin was so scared that he foamed at the mouth. Incontinence persists. He felt completely dazed and confused. Blood vessels filling the pupils. Trembling with fear. No. What is this all about? What happened? All are. Did you do this, you guy? Why, Uncle Lin knew he was certain to die. With a fierce expression, they roared silently at the crowd. He seems to have gone crazy. But that's also true. In this apocalypse, those who are alive are all crazy. No. Silence slowly turned its head. Her eyes sparkled as she looked at him.